Well, hello, Saints. My name is Craig, and the host of the Great Outdoor Bible Adventure. I am back home in north central PA today, really pretty far north, a place I love. This is a natural overlook, and you can overlook the valley here, and it's much the same as when the Iroquois or maybe the Susquehannock or Shawnee Indians held this. Let me show you it. Let me show you how pristine it is. Here it is, Saints. Beautiful north central PA, the Allegheny Mountains there. Just pristine, just like when the Indians had it. It's gorgeous. Whoa! What is that? That's a pumping station. They're pumping oil. They're putting a big pipeline down there. The noise of that station fills the whole valley. Let me show you what else I found. This Adirondack shelter here type, you probably fit a dozen people in this place. And I understand they want to encourage people to get out in the woods, and so do I. But do we have to develop everything? Can't we leave something alone? There's not going to be any wild spaces in Pennsylvania if we don't stop this. There's my rant for the day. Let's get into the Bible teaching now. My point under the Adirondack shelter, I really don't care what you believe about going green or not. That's not my point. My point is that things aren't always what they appear to be. Some things really important. How trustworthy is our government? Can you take them at face value? We're going to read a story in 2 Samuel 10. And we're going to begin at verse 6 and down through verse 12. It's about a battle. And the key player here is a general, Israel's most famous and most prolific guy named Joab. Here we go. Verse 6. When the Ammonites realized they had become obnoxious to David, they hired 20,000 Aramean foot soldiers from Beth-rehob and Zobah, as well as the king of Maacah with 1,000 men, and also 12,000 men from Tob. On hearing this, David sent Joab out with the entire army of fighting men. The Ammonites came out and drew up in battle formation at the entrance of their city gate, while the Arameans of Zobah and Rehob and the men of Tob and Maacah were by themselves in the open country. Joab saw that there were battle lines in front of him and behind him. So he selected some of the best troops of Israel and deployed them against the Arameans. He put the rest of the men under the command of Abishai, his brother, and deployed them against the Ammonites. Joab said, "If the Arameans are too strong for me, then you are to come to my rescue. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I will come and rescue you. Be strong. Let us fight bravely for our people and the cities of our God. The Lord will do what is good in his sight." Then Joab, with the troops with him, advanced to fight the Arameans, and they fled before him. And when the Ammonites realized that the Arameans were fleeing, they fled before Abishai and went inside the city. So Joab returned from fighting the Ammonites and came to Jerusalem. Well, Joab is quite the leader, quite the military leader. He doesn't panic when he sees battle lines in front and back of him. He takes the most difficult assignment for himself and leaves the rest unto his brother. He may be one of the first military leaders to realize the advantage of having interior lines. His speech before the battle is stirring. I want to read it again in verse 12, 2 Samuel 10. "Be strong, and let us fight bravely for our people and the cities of our God. The Lord will do what is good in his sight." Walter Brueggemann says it's a stirring rhetoric of faith and patriotism. This is Joab. But Joab also appears to have an independent power base beyond the control of King David. He murders his rivals. Two of them in cold blood, Abner and Amasa. He also murdered, it's a combat death, but Absalom, he was told not to do it, but King David told him not to do it, but he did it anyway. Now, you know, with all three of them, Abner, Amasa, and Absalom, you could say, well, Joab felt that they were traitors. Traitors to David, traitors to himself, traitors to the covenant of God even, and their treachery caused many combat deaths. And he would have been correct in all that. But it might have been more base than this. It could have been as base as that he was trying to protect his own power base. It is an independent power base. David has a hard time controlling them, can't control them. In 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 1 through 8, he berates David. I mean, gives him a veritable tongue lashing. And David takes it. The king, he takes it. It's amazing. When King David was anointed king in 2 Samuel 3:39, you got to hear this. King David, guy who killed Goliath. He said, and today, though I am anointed king, I am weak. And these sons of Zeruiah, that's Joab and Abishai, his own cousins, are too strong for me. Too strong for me. May the Lord repay the evildoer according to his evil deeds. They were too strong for even King David. In 2 Samuel 20 and verse 23, after all this stuff is done, it succinctly says, Joab was over Israel's entire army. He couldn't overcome David. David couldn't overcome him. They sort of needed each other. When King David died, Joab thought he saw his chance and attempted a coup over David's son Solomon. It failed, and Joab was killed. Sometimes I wonder if Joab doesn't represent the original deep state, a power base beyond the will of the people. Does that exist in America? Well, let me go back to 1963. I was 8 years old. JFK is assassinated. I remember like it was yesterday. Came home and turned on the TV, and there was LBJ being sworn in. And in the mind of an 8-year-old, I thought, you did it. You did it. You had something to do with this. Well, that's how 8-year-olds think, but I found out decades later, some people really thought that LBJ might have been involved. When I was 8 years old, time moved on. The older I got, though, I began to wonder about certain things. There were people that were talking about conspiracy, and was there one shooter or two, and I don't know, but there came to a place where the whoever had Kennedy's brain, I mean, they took all the evidence and whisked it away to D.C., never to be seen or heard from again, but they were supposed to release Kennedy's brain. Pretty important, the president's brain, but they said they lost it. By that time, I'm a reformed drug abuser, and I thought to myself, that smells like a lie if I ever heard one. And dates would go by, and they were supposed to release information about JFK's assassination, and they never did. They just defied the law. I began to wonder. Lee Harvey Oswald, he had just shot the President of the United States. He had just killed the President. And they're parading him through a crowded area in Dallas, Texas, being lightly guarded, some kind of cowboy hat. And Jack Ruby, a known mob associate, walks up as close as I am to this camera and shoots him and kills him. How does that happen? Unless it's supposed to happen. Early on, people suspected the mob, especially the Chicago mob, some guy named Giancani. But as time went on, they started suspecting the CIA. Fast forward to just a few weeks ago, I saw an interview, RFK Jr., Robert Kennedy's son, running for president. He was being interviewed by Sean Hannity. Interesting combination, liberal and a conservative. They seemed to get along great. And Hannity asked him, do you think the CIA was involved in the assassination of JFK? And RFK Jr. said yes. When I heard that, my heart sunk. And I thought, oh my God, everything that I had heard and feared, maybe it's all true. Was there a coup d'etat in my country, in my lifetime? RFK Jr. thinks yes. Can you believe the country? This is days before the 4th of July. Let me wrap this up, bring it to a close. Do I love America? Absolutely. Am I patriotic? Yes. Am I glad I'm an American? Oh, yeah. And even the government, it's the only one looking out for me. Saints, when I was younger, I traveled. I was in 14 different countries. I've been to the USSR. And I was followed everywhere. In Red Square, there'd be a soldier or a trench coat 5 feet behind me. They wanted to intimidate you. I've seen food lines, people looking for food. I've seen dire poverty. I've seen Auschwitz, the concentration camp. I was in Israel 2 years after the Yom Kippur War, and they were still recovering from war. You hate America? Where else do you want to go? Pray for America. As far as hate is concerned, you know, I've been talking about the spirit of Antichrist. Hatred is also Antichrist. Christians aren't allowed to hate. James chapter 2 and verse 8. If you really keep the royal law found in Scripture, love your neighbor as yourself, you are doing right. It's the royal law found in Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 18. Hatred brings out depression so often. Saints, flee from that. Understand the present times. Understand. You don't have to believe like I do on this. I think there's corruption in D.C. I think there's a lot more than we think. But don't give in to hatred. Don't give in to anger. It'll lead to depression and everything. And God has still blessed America. And as long as God is going to bless it, I am too. It's okay to correct things, but don't hate it, because hatred can be like a cancer. God bless America, land that I love, even with that stupid gas pump down there. Dagnabbit. Blessings on you. So there. Have a great day. We'll put up a couple videos on the Great Outdoor Bible Adventure. You have a great day. Have a great 4th of July. God bless America.